If I wanted to, I could have the ring. Right now, I carry Isildur's Bane. I carry Alduir, Aragorn's sword. And here I have my companions of my fellowship, including our special guest, Jackson Hendrix.
Hello.
Welcome.
And I gotta ask, where's Ron?
Oh no.
Don't worry about it.
No.
Don't worry about it.
Neil, we need to know. We need to know. He hasn't been on the show.
It's a fair question. I'll give him that. It's a fair question. In the last episode, we all went on a safari to go find Ron. And, maybe one of us did, maybe one of us didn't.
You're dancing around the issue here, Neil.
Look, all I'm saying is if Ron has a cool little setup in the woods and is happy, maybe we just leave him in the woods. Maybe he's good.
If I wanted to know the full answers, I could get them now.
You couldn't. You'd just kill me. And then the answers would be gone forever in the woods.
Well, this sounds like a perfect time for an intervention with Ron after this episode.
Ron is in the woods, and you're never going to find him. I mean, Ron might still be in the woods, and he may or may not be able to be found. Theoretically, hypothetically, I suppose.
I think you just sent someone on a motorbike to go after him.
Yeah, no, that's not Ron. That's not Ron in a vehicle here in the woods. I'm not in the woods.
I'm not buying it for a minute.
Moving on, welcome to Reactaholics. My name is Dr. Knealetapus. Here we are joined by Callum McRitchie. Say hi, Callum.
Hello, I'm currently in Northern Ireland, learning a lot more about C.S. Lewis.
Oh, you told me about that, the guy who wrote the Narnia books.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. I had no idea how much of an impact he's had in Northern Ireland. In fact, he was born and raised here, and so much of his life and inspiration came from Northern Ireland. And there's even a town square dedicated to him and the analysis of his works. Yeah.
No kidding. Huh. Well, I'm also joined, almost as always, by ImperfectVanity.
What was that supposed to mean? What kind of introduction is hi? How are you?
Well, if I said as always, someone would comment, she's not in this episode, and then I'd be like, well, yeah, she's not in that episode. So I had to say almost as always, or else the fanboys will murder me.
I mean, I guess that's true. Because, yeah, I have not been around.
Sword.
Have you ever noticed I stopped saying I'm the only doctor of the bunch? Fanboys got pissed off I wasn't actually a doctor.
Wait, seriously?
No, not really.
I was going to say, I know that fan people can get crazy, but that's a little too much.
I am currently being sued for plagiarism of a doctor.
I didn't think
so everyone knows that Darthpotter7 will probably make a return. He's just going to be a bit late, just so you know in advance.
All right, if he wants to join, that's fine. But we have one guest who's already here because they are better than Darth Potter, shade being thrown. It is Jackson. Hello, Jackson.
How's
How
it going?
are you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Glad to be here. Good to be here.
Are you excited to be on the show, or are you scared?
I am excited. I'm excited. I'm not scared of being on the show. I'm scared of the others on the show.
That's the answer we always get. We always get two answers. It's I'm excited to be here. I'm scared of everyone else who's here.
I mean, Callum has been holding a sword this whole time.
Well,
I mean,
I'm
going to be honest. Out of the three of us, Callum is the least scary.
No,
Time will tell.
Mel. You're the scariest one, Mel.
Hey! I can be scary.
Prove it.
Your name is Dr. Knealetapus. I'm sorry. That negates any kind of scary.
You know what octopuses imply? You know what Knealetapus implies? Hentai. I'm very scary.
Did you just relate yourself to hentai? And that's a good thing.
Actually, Mel did that the first time we met.
Oh, God.
No, it's a true story.
It is completely a true story. She was like, "Oh, I like your last name. It's like a hentai monster."
No,
And
I
I was
didn't
like-
say it was like a hentai monster. I said it's remind me of a title of a hentai, and you were just like, you first did not understand what I was saying for like a
Well, I
second.
was
and
in
you're just
Florida.
Like, oh.
Everybody's a little intoxicated in Florida at all times. That's the rule.
Constantly.
It's just once you step there, you're just a little bit. You probably shouldn't drive, but it's okay because everybody else is driving.
It factors in. It all cancels out.
Yeah.
Right. Well, if else he shows how much of a dirty bird I can be, the fact that I referred to his name as a hentai, he should probably be a little bit scared.
And the fact that I viewed it as a compliment speaks to my character.
Yeah, I think taking it as a compliment is worse.
Not even kidding. I've had
With
people
that,
say in the past, "You're a beautiful man, Neil Burris," and I've just always been like, "How rude." And I've viewed it as an insult. But then people will be like, "You're the most fucked up human I've ever met in my life," and I'll be like, "Promise?"
That's the sweetest thing. But no, we promise we won't kill you. We didn't kill Darth Potter, so that's
Not yet,
You know,
Like I said, he's going to be late.
I mean, technically, attempted murder is not murder.
It's still a crime.
It's still a crime, but it's not murder. And with that,
That's fair.
let's go ahead and get into the show. Shall we start with the news?
Yes.
Okay. So I have a few pieces of news. One of these I don't even want to talk about. I don't want to talk about it at all. I just want to mention that it's possible. And then I want to move on, because then if I ignore it, the world might ignore it. So, popular actor Jeremy Renner
Oh, this.
has run into a bit of controversy. I won't go into too many details about it, because there isn't a lot of evidence right now. We don't know everything.
Wait,
But the big fear for me is that this may jeopardize the Hawkeye show. But also, okay, so I'll break it down a little. There are accusations being thrown out. Nothing is true. But it's a custody battle between him and his ex-wife over their child. And there are different accusations going each way. It is said that Renner may have been involved with cocaine. There may have been a lot of situations. Specifically, the big threat is that he threatened suicide and to murder his wife. We can't confirm whether or not these are true. That's why I'm sort of glazing over it.
Okay.
And personally, if I think it is true, which I don't know either way, I don't have a bias. The family is now safe, and they are separated. So hopefully, life will go on. But as a film podcast, we have to bring up this might jeopardize the Hawkeye show. Specifically, if I can be so blunt, I think we may see a return of the James Gunn event.
Okay.
That
Sorry,
was a
that
car.
That was a truck, actually, so I went to check the mail.
Jackson, you're new here.
Hi.
What do you think? Do you care about the Hawkeye show? Do you care that it might get canceled?
I care about Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop, but
Me too.
if Jeremy Renner did indeed do these things, the Hawkeye show should be canceled, and they should find a new in for Haley Steinfeld.
Here's the thing, and I have said this before, if it's completely true, everything the wife is saying is true, please, dear God, just recast him.
I mean, maybe,
Like,
yeah. Older Hawkeye, bring in an older actor.
I mean, currently
Like a-
there's no mention of legal ramifications to this, but of course, if it's true, there should be.
Mhm.
And I'm going to be a little blunt. Hawkeye is my favorite superhero. I would like the show to be made, regardless of this news, but I'm going to be honest, if it is true, I do agree. Jeremy Renner should be tried, and held accountable. We can't ignore these things.
Exactly. And it's hard to know if these are true or not, but I have a bad feeling that it's hard to make this kind of stuff up. And why
Well, at the
would
same
someone
time,
do this?
it's also, well, there is motive to make this stuff up because they're battling for custody. So they're trying to discredit each other.
Right.
And unfortunately, we can't know what's real and false.
Mhm.
Right. Usually, with divorces, usually they don't end up being as like glamorous as you would hope. Like I would hope that if I were to ever get married and if I were to divorce, I would hope that it would be as smooth as possible. But especially when there's a child involved and fighting with the custody, you never know. But at the same time, you know, and you have to take this somewhat seriously because when I was in high school, a similar thing happened with wrestler Chris Benoit, but except for it actually happened, and unfortunately, by the time anyone realized that there were actual problems, it was too late.
Yeah,
And
I agree. I am glad, like, I'm not evil. I'm glad that if this is real, it's being brought to life.
Mhm.
And I'm glad it's happening now rather than later. But just purely as a fan and nothing else, I still want the show to be made.
Right. I think the show should still be made. I just think, you know, let's clear out, because the other thing that sucks about, you know, celebrity lives is that you don't know what's real and you don't know what's, you know, what's not. And it could be a he said, she said, but at the same time, it's like it could actually be a thing. But as, you know, people who don't know these, you know, who don't know these actors and, you know, directors and all that, we have to take whatever we can with the grain and being like, well, until more evidence is brought up, we need to take this by a grain of salt, being like, a proof, and we're still we would like at least enough like their public figures and a kind of
Yeah. I mean,
Indeed.
I definitely think that, here's the thing. As a young Neil
it
boy.
should be
Oh, sorry, Mel, you went out. Your audio went out.
oh, yeah.
It's
sorry.
okay.
But just to wrap up, but like my opinion is just like we should treat this, you know, semi-serious, but we should treat this as fans with a grain. But I do believe that they can continue the show without an actor if it turns out to be true, because he should be held accountable if this is true. But if it's not, then there should be other ramifications, and he should continue playing in the show. But this is all news to me. Like literally, I had no idea this was going on until right now.
Yeah, this has sort of been my battle of the week. But just to finish my thoughts, and then you can go, Cal. I'm sorry, I keep going in and out. I have been wanting this since I was a small boy. So,
of course,
if the show got green lighted, they were gonna do it, and then it gets canceled. Jeez, that is like, I at one point said I have a reason to live. Hawkeye is coming out in 2021. And if it's gone, I did say that. If it's gone, that's just so sad. And I'm frustrated, but at the same time, I mean, there are people in trouble. That's more important. And if it's not real, if none of it's real, I still think Jeremy Renner is the perfect casting. Hell, even if it is real, I think he's the perfect casting. But if it is real, Disney, just recast him, please. Don't do what you did with James Gunn, please.
Well, that's the other issue too, is that I think, you know, they need to be smarter about it, unlike with the James Gunn situation, which I think we all agree that was a bunch of crock, being like, hey, he was a different person then, he obviously doesn't, you know, and the fact that a reporter did not like his political views almost pretty much ruined his career. And that's the other tough part about being famous. But with this, I think that Disney should be smarter and being like, well, wait for more evidence to come out. And also, too, I think the person who everyone should have 100% sympathy for is their kid. Because, like, the kid didn't ask for this. And whether they're a daughter of someone famous or not, it's just like she doesn't deserve that. And that that's something that I think that people should be completely, kind of biased towards, is the child being like, she's in the middle of this. And once again, an ugly divorce does not matter if it's, a famous person or not. But I think Disney should do an actual proper investigation before they kick him off and recast him.
Well, there is an investigation happening. I don't know if it's by Disney, but Mickey Mouse with like a badge, like, we're gonna check everything out.
I watched the episode and I would not be surprised. Being like, all right, which one of you fuckers?
The idea of Mickey Mouse having handcuffs and a gun is hilarious to me.
I want it now, Detective Pikachu, but it's Detective Mickey Mouse.
Oh my god, I'd watch that.
Rated R 2020.
He's just smoking in his car and he's like, the city, it's gone down to the shit, Pluto.
Well, I'm actually smoking, so let's see. Being like, this city it's not the way it used to be.
I remember when I took in Donald. He was addicted to the blow. I remember.
That'd be too funny.
I've got to go after Goofy.
I'm too old for this shit.
I don't want that instantly, Max.
Goofy, I know that you've murdered 5 people. Come out here. I'll shoot up your house, Goofy.
I will now not be happy until this is made.
I am a mouse of the law.
If they do that right, have Disney be allies for a second with the creators of South Park, then that would be fucking entertaining.
He just walks in Goofy's house in tears, sad he has to arrest another friend, and he's like, I'm tired, Goofy. I had to arrest Donald. Minnie left me. Freaking Pete is running the precinct. I'm tired, Goofy. Just points the gun at Goofy. Well, Disney.
It's all too much.
Well, a lot of bad shit is coming out of this Jeremy Renner news, but at least one thing did. One good thing did. Mickey Mouse with a gun and handcuffs.
What?
You're a loose cannon, Goofy. I mean, Mickey.
What's your opinion about this term of events going about, if you have one?
If I'm to announce some, I want to announce some more bad news, unfortunately, but then we can get up to the good stuff. On Stardust, they recently released a trailer for Peter Rabbit 2.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
It wasn't good the first fucking time. It's just left this over fucking again. Why do we need this fucking sequel? No. You want to know what's horrifying about that, Neil? I just watched that shit and I felt my childhood die. I did the play in elementary school. I owned all the fucking books. And then finally I sat down, I was like, this can't be that bad. This can't be that bad.
No. Why?
And technically, it was a sequel to a movie we never got to see. And it was based on the book. It did not make... So the fact they're making a fucking sequel to a sequel is fucking stupid.
Why? Okay? No, why?
Guys, I'm about to do something that I never ever do. You're never ever going to see me do this. This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
Okay. Wait, is he gonna swear?
No, just that.
He flipped off! He raised a middle finger! You've broken Callum! You've broken Callum.
I'm really surprised at all the incredibly strong feelings about Peter Rabbit here.
Did you see the first one?
No, it was Peter Rabbit.
Exactly! You don't know, man! Your cousins didn't force you to go see it, man! We have war stories! PTSD about Peter motherfucking Rabbit!
Oh my god. Okay, so Jackson, to clarify, so I actually, because I've been doing a lot of catching up with movies since, but, with my situation turning around and being like I'm no longer homeless, I've been doing a lot of like, cram work and all that of catching up, like at least anything that was released like while I was, out on the street. And I watched Peter Rabbit last night. Being like, and I tried giving it some hope, being like, because I saw like some of the non-spoiler reviews on Stardust and being like, okay, this might not be that bad, but I don't have any hope. And then I watched it and I was like, there is no hope. I have a personal thing with Peter Rabbit because I grew up with my mom buying me all the books to the Peter Rabbit series, and I also too did the play technically twice in elementary school. The first time I was just a vegetable, and the second time I actually
as you do
one of the sisters. But then I got recasted playing Peter Rabbit because one of the original guy who played because that was the one I kept trying to go for was Peter Rabbit. But the guy ended up getting sick, and so I played Peter Rabbit and one of his sisters at the same fucking time.
And they recast you with James Corden. What a travesty.
I know, right?
Look, Jackson, look.
I'm looking.
The first movie. Imagine Alvin and the Chipmunks, okay? Imagine the worst Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. Whichever one you like the least.
All of them at once. Got it.
Okay. 3 times worse.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, you haven't seen the Peter Rabbit movie?
No, it's Peter Rabbit.
Oh, we can't make fun of him, Mel. We can't mock him. He's the only sane one here.
That I'm not saying that as like I'm mocking him. I'm saying it as being like you're scared, but if you want to, lose any form of your humanity, it's on Netflix.
I still had my humanity, and then I heard there's going to be a sequel, and now I think it's gone.
I was still seeing the point of it being like, so technically the Peter Rabbit movie, for if you're familiar at all, Jackson, it's kind of like a sequel to like the books, where it's just like, oh, this happened after Peter Rabbit the first time went into Mr. McGregor's garden. Which I viewed it kind of, there was no point to that at all. And it's supposed to be like his nephew or whatever who inherits his, his farm. And for whatever reason, they start, like, he drags his sisters into it. Even though I was just like, I thought that the sisters, in the book represent being like, this is how kids should behave. Because essentially the story is about being like, you should listen to what your parents tell you. Or else you might get thrown in bean stew.
The books are sweet. And all that is real sweet. The movie is just dumb. It's stupid. It's boring. And I love James Corden, but God, buddy, why? Just moving on. Moving on. Let's get away from this. Yeah, I know he has cable bills. But at the same time, he has a show. He has the James Corden show. So he's making he's getting money. Okay, I'm going to go insane if we stay on this.
Jackson, please give us sanity. Please tell us something good.
Jackson, do you have opinions?
On what? Just
Peter
in
Rabbit
general?
2?
On Peter Rabbit 2? Not really.
There you go.
Oh, I was like,
that might be the most positive review of this news, though. No opinion.
I do have some good news, though, since we're on the news. So I don't know if you guys knew this at all. But because of how bad the recent Hellboy, which I haven't seen, but I knew it was going to be garbage. But because of how bad it was, and because like how Gale kind of got like a little bit fucked, he actually joined alliances with some people. And if you've seen the first and second Hellboy, then you're in for a treat, because they're actually going to make an animated series with Gale, and this will be his first animated stuff he's ever done. And it's going to take place where it should have been right after the second movie. that he was in. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, that's
Just,
interesting.
I'm
Because they
excited.
left the second movie on a cliffhanger, if I recall. Well, sorta.
They kind of did, like, never got to see like, his love interest having, their child, their death played a huge part in that, and the fact that Death doesn't really come back because Death pretty much like foresaw being like, okay, this is how it's actually going to go down. And if you wanted all those questions that was left off by the second movie to be answered, look out for this animated shit.
That'll be cool. Callum, Jackson, any opinions?
Sounds good.
Eh.
There we go. All right, we're focusing a lot on the news, so I'm just going to say the last bit, and then we're going to be done. So some casting has come out specifically for the Robert Pattinson Batman movie. And the thing that everybody is talking about, first of all, Jonah Hill asked for like $10 million to play the Penguin.
Or Riddler.
Or whoever he was going to play. Well, Riddler has been cast now. That's the news.
Mm-hmm.
He's been cast. I don't remember the name of the actor, but
Paul
the news.
Dano!
Thank you.
I'm so excited for this.
I mean, it is a good cast.
It's perfect casting.
But
Would
the
you
thing.
care to elaborate? Would you care to elaborate? What would he
Have
do?
y'all seen Prisoners?
I have not.
He is in Prisoners. He basically plays the Riddler in that, but a bit less extroverted.
Less Riddley.
Less riddly, but it's basically the same kind of creepy, slimy feel that the Riddler has, and that's something that Paul Dano pulls off perfectly. And I just can't wait for this. This is excellent casting.
I mean, I don't remember her name, but they also casted Catwoman.
Zoe Kravitz.
And the fact that you are a pro, Jackson.
Thank you.
And the thing of the lone fact that we have two villains already announced. Jonah Hill may have been cast to play the Penguin. I mean, he was in talks to play Penguin, maybe. I'm just saying, that's a lot of villains already. Well, I am excited.
Apparently they're doing The Long Halloween, which is this big story about, all the Batman villains and how Gotham became this super villain-ridden town, which sounds amazing.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
But I think the guy said, we're not doing one Batman story, we're doing our own. So I think they're going to have like a lot of villains and sort of do something akin to the Halloween. Like,
yeah.
I don't think we're going to get Two-Face's origin. I think if he's in, he'll just start in.
Yeah, no, and it's rumored with all the villains that you said right there, Penguin, Riddler, Catwoman. It's also rumored that Two-Face and Mad Hatter is going to be included.
Oh, I would love to. Mad Hatter in Gotham is great, so I would love to see Mad Hatter in a movie.
Really want that.
I mean, if you're going to do Mad Hatter, though, you got to give him a hypnotizing scene, so I really hope they give him one.
Mm-hmm.
But also, along with that, there are rumors about Scarecrow. There are rumors about Mr. Freeze.
I will take Scarecrow.
Sorry, Mel's the Mr. Freeze aficionado, Jackson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my favorite villain of all time.
Yeah, go watch our Batman animated series special.
I would love to see Mr. Freeze done well, though. I think he's an excellent villain, and the movies have failed him.
I know, right? Like, okay, so since I am, I guess now the Mr. Freeze aficionado, here's a fun fact about me. I didn't mind Mr. Freeze's portrayal with, how Arnold did it, but I think it was only because of this. I did not picture him as Mr. Freeze. I pictured him as Arnold because that's what Arnold Schwarzenegger plays as himself, but you just add a bit of other character to him. Like, I viewed him as, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger playing Arnold Schwarzenegger with ice puns. Mm-hmm. Awesome. I don't hate that representation because it's kind of more true than so far any other version of Mr. Freeze I've seen. Like, I hate the New 52. And I've been over this. And I don't want to go down on that path again. Because
But
my
here's the
doctor
thing.
told me I need to check my blood pressure. But
Here's the thing.
I disagree. I'd want to
What if
see
they
him
get
do
like a
right.
really good actor? What if they get like, I don't know, who's a good actor to play Dr. Freeze? I mean,
Oh,
Mr.
that's
Freeze.
fun.
No!
Wait, what did you say?
Jeff
No.
Goldblum.
Fuck you.
He's perfect as Grandmaster, man. We're good.
If they even try, you have no idea how fast I would be down at DC headquarters in a fuck. You have no idea. I'd be like,
joking.
fuck the
He's
rest of my
hilarious.
life. Yeah, he's hilarious, but not as Mr. Freeze. Don't even joke like that.
Kick his ass. Kick his ass.
Oh, that's a tough one. I could see like maybe he might be too old to play, but I see Jeremy Irons.
That could work.
He could
That
be
could work.
good.
I think you're right. I think he could be good. Mel, you're currently out. Whatever you're saying, we cannot hear. But Jackson and Callum, do you guys have any Batman villains you want to see? Villains you think would fit?
Yeah, but well, I'm bad. Jackson, you can go first.
Well, we've already seen this character in the movies before in Batman Begins, specifically and kind of throughout the Dark Knight trilogy. But like you said, Scarecrow is one of my favorites. I think he is similar to the Joker in how he's kind of the opposite of Batman in that they both use fear as a weapon, except for in different ways. And I think using Scarecrow to his fullest potential and making a partway horror movie, or at least horror sequence with Scarecrow, I really would love to see that. Akin to how they did it in the Arkham games, and even akin to specifically Arkham Knight, where I think he's at his best.
You know what?
Scarecrow, I think, definitely.
Whoever they got to do the Mysterio illusion scene from Far From Home, Scarecrow scene.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Or yeah, that and combined with the scenes from Arkham Asylum, if you ever played that, solid gold. Also,
Absolutely.
I'd like to say something. I don't know if they're going to do this. Chances are they're not. But I hear that maybe or maybe not the Walking Phoenix Joker might make an appearance. I have no idea.
I don't want
Really?
it.
I mean, I don't know.
Here's the
This
thing.
is just speculation.
This is a younger Batman. It's a different take on the Joker.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm just like, I still haven't seen Joker. I know I'm that asshole, but
It's very good.
let Joker be its own thing. That's my fault.
See, I agreed with you until they cast Robert Pattinson. Because I think both of those actors playing two of the greatest characters ever made, and then being two of the best actors working today, I think that would just be a phenomenal.
Don't let Mel hear you say that.
If there's one more thing I'd like to mention, Robert Pattinson is going to make an appearance in the upcoming horror film The Lighthouse. By the trailers,
Can't
it
wait.
seems really intriguing.
It looks really good.
Cannot wait for that. Also, real quick, if I might offer a different kind of Joker casting really quickly. Tilda Swinton.
Oh.
You know, if they were
cast
ever to
anyone
do
else, I will be disappointed.
if they were ever to do the Flashpoint Batman, where it's actually like Thomas Wayne has Batman and Martha Wayne is the Joker, I would like that.
Well, I
especially
think
if they got
man.
Especially if they got the guy who played Morgan.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey Darth,
Hello.
welcome to the show.
Hello. Are we rolling yet?
Well, we are rolling, so be careful. But real fast, I'm gonna finish the news and then we can get into the show proper.
Okay.
My opinions. There's one Batman villain that there are two Batman villains that are my favorite. Number one is because I think he's the coolest. And that is, well, actually three. I love Riddler. Riddler is, you know how as a child you have a favorite, but when you grow up, your taste change? That's Riddler for me. So because of that, Riddler will always have the most special place in my heart. But my two favorites, he's that ex-boyfriend that I remember fondly. But my two favorites are Riddler, who just got cast, And Jackson gave a glowing review on the guy, so
Yeah.
I'm hopeful
Amazing.
with Riddler.
And I actually said this in our Instagram group chat when Jackson forwarded that, and I thought I'd say this now here. I will bet $5 that now all of a sudden a lot of people will start coming out of the woodwork saying, "Oh, Jim Carrey is like the best Riddler ever," and like this new guy, whatever, he's just crap. He's just crap. Which I'm
not gonna bet you, but Gotham Riddler is better than Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I not putting down any Jim Carrey Riddler fans.
Jim Carrey
any of
as
them
well.
actually watching this, but I mean, he was definitely like Jackson said when I had said that earlier. He was like the most, in my opinion, the only entertaining part of that movie. But
Yeah, but he was playing Jim Carrey. He wasn't playing the Riddler. He was playing Jim Carrey.
I mean, a little bit, but isn't Jim Carrey basically the Riddler?
I mean, I don't know. Jim Carrey, like, I don't know. In terms of wits, I don't know. But the two villains I want to see, Mad Hatter, and we might have to go R to include him. But I want to see if they have the balls to put in Professor Pig. For those of you who don't know,
They're never gonna do Professor Pig. Never.
they did him in Gotham.
They may have done him in Gotham, but that's on a TV show that not too many people
those of
watch.
you-
This is a big, big movie. They're never doing Professor Pig.
For those of you who don't know, Professor Pig, counting the Joker, counting Mad Hatter, counting everybody, Professor Pig might be the most fucked up Batman villain there is. He's obsessed with perfection, and his idea of perfection is putting you in a state between consciousness and unconsciousness, removing any gender from you, meaning he actually takes out the chromosomes that dictate gender, and turning you into this weird red-headed doll dude.
okay,
It's-
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, finish. My bad.
No, go ahead, Potter. I'm done. I just want to see him.
Yeah, honestly, now that the more I think about it, the more he might need to be in a movie, because that might actually be relevant now more than at any point in history.
Think about it like this. Batman, it doesn't even have to be a big scene. It's just like a little cameo, like I assume a lot of the villains are going to be, where he's totally cutting a dude to bits and then Dollatrons attack Batman.
Yeah.
Oh, and he has to sing opera. That's his thing. But with that, let's get into the show proper. Who all is still here? I heard someone go out.
I think Mel's. Is Mel still here?
I see her little Skype thing, so I assume she's here.
She's in the call. She's muted right now.
Oh, she is?
Mhm.
Oh, well, we can assume something important is happening, and we'll just go on, and she'll probably catch up when she can.
I hope none of us accidentally muted her. That's a thing that Skype does.
Really? Well, I didn't mute her.
I'm
don't
right
know.
here.
Oh, she's
there we go.
alive.
No.
I realized when I was about to say like my 2 cents about like the Riddler and the Jim Carrey Riddler that my mic was on mute the whole entire time.
Oh, I'm
So I was,
sorry.
like what?
If it means anything, we're finally ready to start the show proper.
Okay.
Yeah.
News took a while today, so let's blast through these topics, everybody.
This is why we need Ron back. He could go through the news swiftly like Billy Whiz or
I only
Flash.
had 2 news topics. You guys brought more, and then Peter Rabbit broke us. Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started, Will.
Moving on to topics, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Well, if we're going to start the show proper with the topics, I think that we should do another Stardust poll, which currently right now is which movie was the better puppet movie?
Okay.
And it's both between Dark Crystal and... Hold on, sorry, my app decided to close on me.
Team America.
Yeah, Team America. So what's your guys' opinion? Which one's the better movie with puppets? Is it
Look,
Dark Crystal?
Dark
or
Crystal.
I've only seen one, so I have to vote for it. Team America.
Yeah.
You have not seen the Dark Crystal? What's wrong
Everybody
with you?
says that to me. You have no idea how many times I have heard those words.
This is the Stardust podcast where we talk about movies.
You know how Tamara Chambers from the Nostalgia Critic does a show like Tamara's Never Saw? I was like that for a while. Be happy I've seen Napoleon Dynamite.
Well, if it helps, I've seen The Dark Crystal, but I've never seen Napoleon Dynamite.
See, Will is the other half of this coin.
That wasn't Will.
That was
I mean, Jackson. I'm sorry, Jackson. I can't
Excuse
see
you, Neil.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I would never. I love you.
Bless you all.
It's fine. I love you too.
Yay.
Oh my
But
God.
yeah, Jackson is the other side. We don't see all the movies, but we see enough as a collective consciousness that together we can talk about them all. Alone, we are strong, but together, we are mighty.
Yeah, I'm still gonna
Although
quote
we
John
are
Daly
strong.
on this. And being like, you're doing a movie podcast.
We are
Like,
strong together.
Agree.
You should watch The Dark Crystal, Neil.
Together.
It's really good.
Together. You
Okay,
shouldn't
Darthpotter and
watch Napoleon Dynamite. I didn't like it.
Okay, so Neil is for Team America because he sucks. Callum is for the Dark Crystal, you said?
Yes.
What about you, Jackson and Darthpotter? I'll let one of you go first.
Okay, so I have seen both, and I'm just gonna say this right now about Dark Crystal. The puppet work. Like, if we were judging these movies purely based on the puppetry and all the other effects, Dark Crystal wins by a landslide. No,
yeah. It's not a
no
perfect film,
competition.
but it's great with its visuals.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
no competition whatsoever. But if we're judging them as movies on a whole, I really have to give it to Team America just because it really feels like the more complete story. Because Dark Crystal, they had to cut out a lot of things, and as such, like when I watched it, I couldn't tell what the hell was going on because they had cut out so many like important.
And then they continued it in the prequel
story
series
detail.
into Resistance on Netflix.
Let Will go. Let Will go.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the show. And I bet the show is great. But if I bet it's better. But if I need to see a show or something outside of the movie to understand what's going on in the movie, that's not a good sign to me. Plus, Team America is just still so funny and a very poignant social commentary that one would expect from the creators of South Park.
And I can't talk about Dark Crystal except for that it has a big fan base and people seem to like it. So I'm glad people like it. But I can talk about Team America. First of all, these are two different types of puppets, right? These are two very different kinds of puppets.
Yeah,
Team
they were.
America is marionette. So because of that, I'm hesitant to say one is better than the other because they're so different. And in terms of comedy, Team Fortress 2, Team Fortress 2. Team America is a very good movie. It's very funny. And we have the most iconic, like, fuck the national anthem. America, fuck yeah, is my song.
Go lick my butt and suck on my balls.
Yes! Do all of those things!
So Jackson, you're the second to last before me. What's your opinion? Dark Crystal, America.
My vote would go to Dark Crystal, and I'm going to go the opposite of something Will said earlier. I think I'm only going to vote for it because of the prequel series and the context that it gives it. I think it makes the film better and makes it much more poetic, interesting, and complex. And while I do see where you're coming from, Will, I think having that external factor does kind of contribute to the subjective view of the movie, to me at least, and it makes it much more interesting and poetic and a lot more fun. So I'm going to go Dark Crystal.
Okay,
If I
so
were to say something
before
about
I
the Dark
say what
Crystal,
I voted for, here are the results on Stardust. 55% of people voted for Dark Crystal and 45% voted Team America.
Okay.
Wow, so only 5 in it. Wow, that's really close.
Right, it's a pretty neck and neck poll, but I have to, but what I voted for was Dark Crystal, and I have to go with what Jackson said and kind of playing off on that is even though I haven't seen the prequel series yet, but watching a movie like Dark Crystal, it is meant to be more of a complex thing, and yes, it did have the disadvantage of the times because it was made in 82. And that's why a lot of people don't take credit or don't recognize with older films is that they had a lot of shit that they could not do. Unlike, later on, whereas, Team America had more of the advantages of being like, oh, it's the early 2000s. We're allowed to say these things and we're allowed to do these things, unlike in 82, where she's like, no, can't do that. Can't do that. But if you're basing it on the show, it makes me much more interested to see the show now. And if it makes it more complex and more poetic. And I think it's just also, too, of the fact of being like, Team America, I do view it funny in a dark way, but it's more like, it's the guys from South Park not really doing South Park, but at the same time are, and they're not afraid to push that envelope. It's more of like common sense, like dark humor, like they say the word fuck a lot, or they, refer to this innuendo or that innuendo, whereas with Dark Crystal, it's more dark on the sense of being like just
it's tone.
Yeah, it's tone. It doesn't need to, throw in like an F-bomb to get a reaction. It lets the visuals do it for you, and it lets whatever story there is do it for you.
Yeah, a lot of children say, "Oh, this is one of the scariest movies I saw as a child. The skanks
That's
is
the
terrible."
It's kind of the point of that. It's just like it's meant to scare you.
My brother-in-law has a fear of birds, and he contributes it to watching Dark Crystal as a child.
I mean, just think of it this way. That and Labyrinth, Jim Henson doing Dark is always trippy.
It is.
Oh, yeah. But if I were to pick like the darker of the two, I would definitely say Dark Crystal beats like Labyrinth just by a pinch.
So Mel, remember that time we were doing Will Ferrell movies and I voted for Blades of Glory even though it wasn't an option?
Yeah.
I'm voting for the Muppets.
Oh my god.
Actually, can I vote for that one too, please?
This isn't how polls work.
Polls already were in. We're moving on to the next thing.
I am the third party.
And I like Team America. But which is better? There's only one way to find out.
No, you already made your piece. Your guys' votes are already casted in. Moving on.
All right. So we did take a lot of time at the beginning. So we're going to go until we can't go anymore. So let's start with Jackson since he's the special guest this episode. What is your topic, good sir?
My topic, I think, in celebration of Zombieland Double Tap finally existing, which took 10 years to get a Zombieland sequel. And after I first watched the first Zombieland for the first time a couple of years back, I thought, I want another one. And so what is a movie that you guys don't think will ever get a sequel, is basically confirmed to not get a sequel, that you think should?
Callum, are we going to team up on this? Are we going to say the same thing?
I have no idea.
Okay, Mel, do you have an answer immediately? Because I do.
You go ahead if you have one. I need actually some time to think about this. That's a good question.
Ladies and gentlemen, as a young Neil boy, I remember seeing trailers for a certain movie on Nickelodeon and thinking it was boring. I went and saw it, and it inspired not only my love of Sherlock Holmes, but partially my love of adventure and mystery altogether. That movie is Hergé's The Adventures of Tintin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I love that movie. It's so good.
That needs a sequel. That needs a sequel. Okay.
Callum's with me. We've talked about you and me and teaming, Callum. Let's do this shit. there is room for one more story. They leave it on a bit of a cliffhanger. And they cut things out of the other two stories that they could easily side into another movie. And they keep talking about there might be another movie. Peter Jackson apparently was talking about maybe doing it. And it keeps floating around in the void. Just look, the first movie was so fucking good. Its CG is a me too, bro. Me too.
Yeah.
Its CG is great. It perfectly captures a 2D art style while still being CG.
More realistic. It's a perfect combination.
It is.
Yeah.
I agree fully. Go ahead, Jackson. Or Will, whoever's speaking.
Yeah, this was Will talking. Yeah, that's why I find because I go back and watch the Polar Express every year around Christmas, and I still have a lot of nostalgic ties to that movie, but the CG animation on those people starts to look scarier and scarier with each passing year. But Tintin, I find, still looks really good because unlike Polar Express, they don't try to go for humans who look like actual humans. They go for humans who look like cartoon characters. Yeah, they avoid that uncanny valley, and really, that's what cartoons are supposed to. That's what animation is supposed to do. They're supposed to let your imagination fly, not tie you down to the real world. Again,
another world.
Find
Tell
Polar
a different story.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. It's just with Tintin, it's so beautiful. It's such a good story. Also, a nearly perfect adaptation of the source material.
Yeah,
and they leave it on a cliffhanger.
Leaving room for Red Raccoon treasure.
They tell a full story, but then at the very end, they're like, but if we want to do a sequel, well, here it is.
I mean, to their credit, they do have a complete story, which is great compared to Indiana Jones. But on the other hand, they're like, tickle, 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 here's a sequel coming. Tickle, tickle, tickle.
Yeah, and also Andy Serkis has Haddock. And just there's so many good things in this movie. The story is great. Tintin is lovable. Snowy is cute. The whole thing is just one great movie. And I feel like if we got Steven Spielberg to come back, if we got maybe Peter Jackson could do it better, but if we just get another Tintin, my God, I would love that.
Praise the Lord for Tintin sequel. Yeah,
I should really revisit Tintin.
It's really good. Me and Callum.
I haven't seen it since it was first out in theaters.
It's so good. It's so fun movie.
I almost skipped it in theaters, but then I went to see it because I saw it at a drive-in, and another movie I wanted to see was playing with it. I can't remember what that movie was, though. Tintin was better. Well, that's my take. Please, Hollywood, make another Tintin. Callum, do you have anything you specifically want to say on what you would hope, your views?
I suppose if in the event that they do actually take time to make this sequel, I suppose they're obviously going to do the rest of Red Rackham's Treasure. But I wonder what else they could do. I mean, they perfectly combine several stories. But with this new story, they could introduce Professor Calculus, maybe played by Patrick Stewart or something. I don't know.
You know how they did that weird thing where they made a bystander in the books, the main villain? What if they actually bring in the main villain from the books and actually do him? They have a whole villain. Is that all, Callum, or did I interrupt you?
just a little bit. You didn't interrupt me too much.
I apologize.
What else could they do? It's fine. I forget you. They could do Red Rackham's Treasure. They could do some other things. Maybe combine it with some other treasure hunt or some other bits of an adventure or something. As a Scotsman, I would love to have Tintin go to the Black Island. If any of you have ever read that story. Yeah, Tintin's investigation, and it leads him to Scotland, and there's this rumors about this black beast that roams in this Black Island. And Tintin has to go into this island to find out what's going on and solve this mystery. So, yeah. But other than that, even if the Black Island isn't in it, I'd still love to see just the rest of Red Record Treasure and what else this creativity is capable of.
And even though I love the books, because shout out to another Starduster, Cephicus Maximus, he actually recommended me the books.
He hasn't been on Stardust in a while. I miss that guy.
He's been gone, and I miss him. I miss him.
We missed him. Where are you, Cephicus Maximus?
We'll find him one day. He's probably also in the woods.
Watched him like Ron this whole entire time actually like join secret alliances like the stand.
They're making their own podcast.
Neil, what do you know?
Nothing. I know nothing.
We'll get that information.
But just last things. Even if it has nothing to do with the original comics, which I love, bring back that cast, bring back those characters, and tell another story, because my God, the first one was excellent.
I mean, if I'm to mention some other things, they do so many creative liberties. They pay homage to Hergé, even giving him a cameo. The transitions, the transitions were masterpieces. Just when you go one scene into another, they are so creative.
I agree so much.
The scene where Tintin and Haddock shake hands together, then their hands form into this hill that they're walking on camels. That was a brilliant transition.
You know what, Callum? We're gonna make this movie. Let's go to Hollywood.
Together!
We can do this. With your sword and my mouth, we will create this movie.
Y'all can write it. I'll direct it. It'll work.
This is happening, people! Okay, someone else talk.
Okay.
I'll let Jackson or Will go first, and I'll say mine.
Will, do you want to go first?
Yes, I actually have a couple sequels.
Jackson should go last because it's his topic.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
That's fair.
So the first one, actually, there is a chance that it could possibly get made, and that is a full-blown sequel to Kill Bill. Now, hear me out on this, because Tarantino has actually said that he would be interested in doing a sequel, because, just so I know how many people here have seen Kill Bill. Like,
I have.
I can't raise my hand and show you, but I have.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Will. I'll amend it one day and watch them.
Okay. Okay, yeah, well, this isn't a spoiler or anything, but there is a character who Uma Thurman's main character of The Bride kills at the beginning of the movie in front of her own daughter. And Uma Thurman says to that little girl, hey, if you grow up and you still want to take revenge on me, I will be waiting. So I would like to see a sequel where that little girl grows up to take revenge on the bride, because like the whole premise of Kill Bill, it revolves around the bride, like, trying to get her revenge on Bill. So it would be really interesting to see that role reverse, where the bride is sort of the main villain instead. Well, not really the villain, but the one who is being sought vengeance.
The antagonist.
Yeah.
The antagonist, sort of. Let me explain, because I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but basically, at some point in Kill Bill Volume 2, the bride starts to question if revenge is what she really wants, sort of, in a way. So maybe, she can try and also prevent the girl from going down the same dark path. So I feel that could lead to a lot of interesting psychological development and stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, I just think that's a really interesting premise. Again, I don't know if it's ever going to be made. I have a feeling that it is likely it's going to get made. So I want to move on to the next sequel I would like to see made, which I know is never going to be made. It's been too long now since this first movie has come out. The director probably won't be able to do it anymore. There's just so much different technology now. It just will never happen. A conclusion to Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings.
There are petitions online, man. There are petitions online.
Yeah, because
animators just to do that.
Exactly. Now, let me be clear. Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings is quite possibly my favorite film trilogy of all time.
It's my favorite movie of all time.
It's Callum's favorite too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like anytime that I have a day where I literally have nothing to do, I will just pop all 3 movies in and just enjoy. But I also really like even though I don't think it was nearly as good as the Peter Jackson films, I really liked Bakshi's vision that he brought to Lord of the Rings, and it was just such an interesting style, and I really wanted to see him conclude it with his own version of Return of the King. But of course, his Lord of the Rings bombed at the box office, mixed at best reviews, and so Rankin Bass was left to
adaptation, but I have a lot of respect for Ralph Bakshi and the what's it called? The stop frame animation. What was it called? Rotoscoping animation. As an animator, I have so much respect for. This is some of the best rotoscoping I have ever seen.
Like the way they did the battle at Helm's Deep was just wow. That was
It was definitely a good pick, Will.
Even the small scenes where they're talking, it makes it so much more engaging.
Yeah. And now technically there was sort of a Return of the King adaptation, which was done by Rankin Bass, who, for those of you who don't know, made a lot of
Cal, calm down. Cal, let Will finish.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Rankin Bass is the studio who gave us a lot of those really old Christmas specials like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Santa Claus is Coming to Town. They made their own adaptation of Return of the King, which was done in very cheap animation, which was fine for when they did their adaptation of The Hobbit, because The Hobbit is supposed to be more of a kid's story anyway, and in my opinion is definitely much more faithful to The Hobbit than the Peter Jackson version. But for the Return of the King, it just did not fit at all, especially as a follow-up to Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings. So I highly doubt it's ever going to happen, but I would love to see a conclusion to Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings.
Right.
I agree. I think that would make a lot of people happy. Go ahead, Mel.
I think Mel to say.
Well, I definitely agree, because those versions actually got me to read the books, to be honest, even though it brings up question to my mental state, because my parents were not the conventional parents. They're just like, just watch this, and if you can't take it, we know not what to do, and if you can, well, good luck to you, kid. And I actually fell in love with it from the animation style and all that, and I do think that Lord of the Rings definitely gets a bad rap for what it was. I think the only thing truly bad in that movie was where there's a whip, there's a whip. I think instead of making a song like that, even though it's catchy as fuck, I don't care who it says, it is catchy as fuck, but instead they could have, put in more of the story in it. But I just don't think it's going to happen, just because some of those illustrators are probably not around anymore, which I wish they would bring the style back. I honestly do. But then again, I'm a pro, hey, bring back 2D animation, bring back, it's still a good art form. But will we ever see that? Probably not.
You just have to go search for it.
Yes, Callum?
On Netflix, yeah.
What's coming out on Netflix?
Klaus.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, just a brief melt there.
Anyway, but I definitely agree, but I don't think, unfortunately, we're ever going to see that. But it would be nice to see a conclusion to that series, and at least make it complete.
It would make a lot of people on the internet happy.
Yeah, I do have to make a correction, Mel. The Where There's a Whip, There's a Way, that was not in Ralph Bakshi's version. That was in the Rankin Bass Return of the King.
Yeah.
Right.
It's all right.
She
It's all right.
screwed up her words. It's okay.
It's okay.
Mel,
Slight correction so that you
what
don't
is
get.
your pick? Jack, do you have opinions? Do you have opinions on the Ralph and Bast Lord of the Rings coming back? Or
I
are
have
we
never
going to
seen
Mel's?
that. I've never seen that, so I do not have
We're
an
going
opinion.
to Mel's pick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So mine's a tie, and it's kind of similar to like Will's because I doubt I will ever see them, but it'd be nice to see. One of them is the Great Mouse Detective.
Callum, you are just bandwagoning today. Callum doesn't get his own. He just shares ours.
Right. He lives vicariously through our picks. So the reason why I know it will never come to fruition, one of them is, of course, Vincent Price. He's been gone. And especially, like, you don't actually know if Radican died with that fall. You know, it was a pretty gruesome death, but you don't know if he survived. You don't know if, he got spared. And I would have loved to see Radican come back, but without the voice actor, Vincent Price, you can't do Radican without him.
Do another villain. You
Yeah,
can do another villain. Maybe someone more like Moriarty, or maybe someone more like some other Sherlock villain.
That was like Vincent Price's last roles.
Yeah.
Also, I hate to mention this, but who was going? Does someone else want to go first?
No, you go. I was going to say something, but you go first, Neil.
Well, in Scooby-Doo, the 13th Ghost, which just came out, the character that Vincent Price played in the old show reappeared, and they had him played by a new person, but I was not able to tell the difference in the moment. So maybe that guy.
The thing though is like Vincent Price, like he was Radigan. Like everything about who Radigan was just Vincent Price. So even if they got someone who sounds exactly like Vincent Price, it just will not work. And again, like Callum said, Moriarty was not the only villain that Sherlock Holmes ever faced. They could do something else.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, but
that's
also
true.
The other reason why I don't think it will ever happen is because 2D animation, at least with film, is pretty much almost a dead art, which I disagree with. I did not like the fact that Disney pretty much like let go of an entire team of animators and was just like, fuck you. So Disney decides to bring back the world of 2D animation, brings that department back. We'll never see it. We will never see it.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
I do want to offer some hope though, because there are still clearly people out there who are like, just because 2D animation is dead doesn't mean that the love for it isn't dead. There's so many people out there who want it back. And just now, because I go to college, and just now when I was on campus, I saw like, a bunch of people like an art club outside paint drawing one of the buildings. So yeah, that's not really animation. They're just drawing a still image, but
It's hand drawn.
Yeah, that love for hand drawing stuff on like an actual piece of paper, not a computer, that's still there. So for me personally, I'm not completely what was the word? Losing faith.
Hopeless.
I'm not hopeless. I am still really holding on to that hope that 2D animation will come back, hopefully.
It's coming back in Netflix with Klaus.
Yeah, it's still alive in TV and Netflix, but I know what Mel's saying. I know what everybody's saying. We're not gonna see what we used to see with Little Mermaid, with what we used to see with Mulan, with Lion King. We're not gonna see that again. And if we are, we're not seeing it for a while.
Right. Yeah. It's really, instead of like Disney turning into a monopoly, I think that's where they should have put their money back on, is being like, hey, just kidding. But the second choice, that's a tie, and this is for completely different reasons, is the Lemmy Snicket's Series of Unfortunate Events, the movie series.
Okay.
And
really?
Yeah. And there's a reason why, because it got such a, unfortunately, it came out for me at the wrong time, and only because like there was Lord of the Rings that was coming out and Harry Potter, so it got shafted. And there's been talks about it for years of making a sequel and making this into a movie series kind of like that. But because, Harry Potter was reigning, Lord of the Rings was reigning for quite a bit, and then it didn't help either with the Hobbit series coming out. It just never happened. And of course, that's why I don't blame Netflix for picking up the show. But I would still like to see them try to at least, give us a sequel to the original movie, because the movie itself was not bad. They had to cut some things out that the show had to, because I've only seen up to, I think, season 2 so far, and I didn't think they did a bad portrayal, but it just made me yearn for, like, because while people were because I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan, and I've already displayed that, because quite frankly, your fan base scares me.
That's fair.
That was mentioned in an episode.
Go check it
is,
out.
and if you want, go check it out. But just to wrap up my opinion, it's just like, I thought that the, show was okay, but it made me yearn, because unlike, because I was a kid when the Harry Potter movies came out. I was like in middle school, and I saw the first 2, and I loved the first 2, just never picked it up again. But then I saw Lemony Snicket around the same time, and I was like, I absolutely love this. I read the books, and I didn't think that they did such a terrible job, and I would like to see it picked up again. But because of the show, I don't think they will, and I think that's a shame.
Well, I agree with you. I think the show has something to do with it, but if I had to honestly give an opinion, I don't think it's going to happen. And my reasoning I don't think it's going to happen is the actors who played Sonny, Klaus, and Violet are too old now. So if they're going to have to recast the cast, why not just do a reboot? Like that's my thought.
Right. I think that, like, at least with the kids, I thought that they picked a pretty fine cast to play the kids now. So yeah,
Jim
I
Carrey
like it, like the whole cast, probably, like, at least, like, bring back some people like like Jim Carrey while they're still around.
Who's in it? Scotland!
Would be a good thing to see, but I just know that those 2 will just not happen. But it would be to see.
Just like you, Senorita Mel, I have read the books and I've seen the Netflix series. And my God, the Netflix series is weird, but at the same time, I was satisfied. So I think if they did do a sequel, I'd go see it because I love the books.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of love the books. They're really dark and depressing, and I've shared in the past that I don't like dark and depressing stuff. But I like the characters of the orphans, and, I won't go into it. But I like the Netflix series, and I'm glad we have something, think of the sequels that were set here. Like The Mouse Detective, like Lord of the Rings and Kill Bill. That might not happen ever. At least the conclusion to the story is there in the Netflix series. That's my view.
I'm just saying that I would actually like to see it, how it was portrayed the first time around. I don't hate the Netflix series, or at least the bit I watched, like, especially like season 1 with that red herring. And I'm not going to get into spoilers with that for those who haven't seen the show, but it's just that's always been like a sequel that's always been on my mind while everybody else was like fanboying or fangirling over like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. And I do love Lord of the Rings, do not get me wrong, but I was just that type that was just like, I want to see more Lemony Snicket, Serious Unfortunate Events in the theater. And I think that it got such a, it got a shitty hand. And I think if they would have released it like sometime a little bit later or a little bit sooner, it probably would have. I just, and like I said, there were talks about it for years about doing a part 2 of it. But by the time they did, it was kind of too late. It's just something of being like, I don't hate the show from what I've seen. I love the show from what I've seen, but it would just, it's just like that little, 11-year-old me still being like, hey, I would like to see this one day. Even if I die, just put it in my coffin and just have my soul like watch it.
That's what I'm going to do with the Marvel movies if they keep going after I'm gone.
Bad way to
I
spend
will
the
pay
afterlife.
someone to dig me up every few years.
I'm just like, Endgame's already out. I'm good.
Yeah.
No, I'm in it till it's over. I'm in
Same.
it till the last movie.
It's not going to end until it starts becoming shitty. It's not going to end until it starts becoming shitty.
They're
and that's-
never going to be shitty.
No, it's not going to end until people stop going to see them. They could be really bad, but still make $1 billion and still keep going.
True.
Transformers.
Jack, what's your opinion since it's your topic? And since we decided that since it's your topic, you'd go last.
All right, my choices. I have 2. One of them I'm just going to say because I think it's
before-
obvious. Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jackson,
good.
but before we say anything, I would like to call a round of applause. That is one of the best topics we've had on this show, and it was from a guest.
Thank you.
Well done. That is a great first topic.
Thank you. Thank
I'm
you.
the only one applauding.
I applaud it.
I'm
But it's
applauding.
too.
Okay.
Yeah, we are all applauding. We are doing this as a team.
Anyway, Jackson.
Go ahead,
continue.
good sir.
I've got 2 options. One of them I think is obvious, so I'm just going to briefly touch on it. The other one is my actual answer. The first one I think is obvious for anyone who's seen it. The Nice Guys, Shane Black movie.
My cousin loves that movie.
Never saw it.
It's a great movie, and I want a sequel, and it's never going to happen. But I think it's just an obvious one that should get a sequel. The one I think that is less obvious that I would actually like to see a sequel to. It came out last year, but it bombed, and the director stated zero interest in wanting to do another one, and that would be Annihilation.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
I'm guilty of not seeing it. It's like everyone's talking so many good things about it. I want to see it, didn't get to see it, and now it's not getting a sequel.
It's absolutely incredible.
You saw the trailer for it. It's the movie with Jeremy Renner in it and Amy Adams. Is it Amy Adams or Natalie Portman?
It's a rival.
I can't remember.
You're thinking of
It's
Arrival.
one of the two.
You're thinking of
Yeah, I'm
Arrival.
thinking of Arrival.
I'm thinking of Natalie Portman.
But I
movie
was
from-
right. I was right. Annihilation has Natalie Portman in it.
Yes, Natalie Portman. And
Okay, I confused the two, but I know the movie.
I unfortunately haven't seen the movie yet, but that's on my list of movies I'm trying to catch up on since I missed a
Well,
lot.
absolutely
That simply means, for everyone who hasn't seen it, that Jackson gets to educate us and tell us why it deserves a sequel.
It deserves a sequel for what? First reason is it's an adaptation of a book, and that book is a part of a trilogy.
Ooh.
Oh, alrighty, that's a good reason.
Simply there you go. And while the movie is a loose adaptation of the first book because it was adapted interestingly in that the director read it once and then adapted it from memory.
Oh,
That
no.
is interesting, but also a little cringy.
Here's the thing. I've read the first book. It would not transition well to a movie at all, so the movie did a good call there. It kept the basic core of the book and what it was in a good way. I haven't read the other 2 yet. But the thing with this is that I think, well, one, the way it ends, I'm not going to say that, but it does leave an opening for more themes and ideas to be explored within this sci-fi universe. And I think with the way the books lead off as well, even though I haven't read the other 2, I do know a decent amount about them. There is room to bring ideas and themes and stories from those 2 books into even into just one more movie, if not 2 more into a sequel. So I think there's definitely room here for this universe and for this idea to continue on into more movies.
Okay.
I would also argue that since yours came out very recently, you
Mhm.
might have the best chance.
No, this movie died at the box office. No, to the point where it wasn't even released internationally in theaters. It got dumped to Netflix internationally.
Oh, wow.
Anywhere that wasn't US and Canada didn't get a theatrical release. They completely dumped this movie.
Oh, well, that's super unfortunate.
Unless
Sorry,
they
buddy.
take a weird financial gamble, it's not happening. And if it does, it's going to be a 2049 situation where it happens in 30 years. And then bombs
Not
again.
wrong. You're not wrong. Well, with that, what a good topic, man. You did a good job.
Thank you.
Well done.
Please stick around and say everything about the other topics, because that's how the show works.
Can I go next, or does Darth Potter wants to go next?
You can think of one. I haven't had I haven't thought of my topic yet, so go ahead.
I
I'll
got
go
one.
first.
We're not all doing topics tonight. We're just going as long as we can. So Callum wants to go next. Go ahead.
Right, so I wanted to get this off my chest. So everyone has this one moment or they've watched a movie and they think, okay, perhaps the movie makers have gotten a bit carried away with how convoluted their plot can get, like the Matrix series. So with that said, sometimes it can be flat out confusing. So ladies and gentlemen, I want you to ask this. What is the most confusing moment you've ever experienced in a movie?
Ooh.
Give me a minute.
Definitely
I
feels like
got
I'm fine.
I got one.
Okay, Mel, you go first because I think everyone else needs to think about this.
Right. So I have a reason why, and it's because I am a Godzilla fan. I am a huge Godzilla fan. But the problem with me is that I'm an old gen Godzilla fan, all because the 1999 Zilla movie ruined me completely. It was the first movie I saw in theaters of Godzilla, and it was trash. And I made a vow when I was 9 that I would never see any other Godzilla film again because that's how much it ruined me. Well, when I got off the street in August, one of the first things that Eli has been kind of forcing me to try to give a chance again is the Godzilla franchise. And unfortunately, I didn't do it right. As in, I did not see the 2014 Godzilla film, and I haven't seen Shin. But I did see King of the Monsters, and it so happened to be by chance. And I think my most confusing moment was the human involvement in general. Like I said, I am OG Godzilla fan, as in I do not care about the fucking people. I do not care about they're cannon fodder to me. You don't watch a Godzilla film to see the people. You watch it for the kaiju. You watch it for Godzilla.
They're pawns and red shirts.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But why it was confusing to me was because I did not see the 2014 version, which I had no idea was the prequel to this. I didn't think the movie was bad. In general, I did appreciate the few times I got to see any of the kaiju. And for some of them, it was confusing. Like, I didn't recognize the mammoth one at all, being like, you're new. You're completely new. And I think the spider one was based on a kaiju in the past. And I can't remember its name. But otherwise, it was just like, I could get up away from this movie and not really miss a lot with how much human interaction there was. And also, too, the way that they treated nuclear anything was confusing as fuck. I think the most frustrating part was, and this is spoilers for some people, was when one of the professors goes to revive Godzilla even by movie standards or fiction standards, it did not make sense at all of how they handled radiation. Being like, hey, you guys are surrounded by radiation. You should be having something react somehow. And that was the part that was confusing for me. But then again, it's just like, hey, this movie did get me to have a love for Godzilla again, so I might actually revisit any Godzilla film I've missed in the past 2 decades. But it was just the logistics and the people involvement. I honestly think, from what I heard, it was Toho finally got smart and allied with the people who made the 2014 one and made this wonderful masterpiece. Like, don't get me wrong, I still love the film. But I think they need to go back to Toho's old ways and being like, hey, if humans are going to be involved, they're either a cannon fodder or they're secondary to the kaiju and to Godzilla. But that's just on a old fan getting back into the franchise kind of thing.
That's definitely a good pick. Callum, I like your topic. I had to think of my answer while Mel went. And I thought of 2, but I'm only going to focus on one. My first answer was, Oh, well, I was really confused when it was revealed that Benedict Cumberbatch was Khan in the Star Trek movies. But
It would be
then,
real confusing if it was Star Wars.
thinking about that, I actually found one that confused me even more and made me angry. Also, I thought of a joke answer, and I will say the joke answer right now. I was really confused when Avatar The Last Airbender was bad. That's not supposed to happen.
No, you
But
should have known
I
when you saw
digress.
Night Shyamalan's name on the fucking
Oh,
thing. That's what you
I
should
was
have
a
known.
young, poor child. I didn't go in with that. But let it be known, Mal. I learned my lesson. I'm looking at all of those movies, just like all current Shyamalans. Like,
If you're
What are you
making a
doing?
joke one, I guess I have like a quick joke one. I don't understand why people think that Glass was bad.
Glass is great.
I haven't seen it, so I have no opinion.
I haven't seen it either.
The number one criticism I hear from that movie
Shyamalan's
is
name is on it.
Get out. Shyamalan has made 3 good movies in a row.
I refuse. He ruined it for me. He ruined Last Airbender. How do you do that?
That was the studio.
We don't know that.
We do.
Let's be fair to Shyamalan. They were trying to adapt like 60 episodes of a TV show into like an hour and whatever movie. It was bound to fail no matter who was in the director's chair.
Exactly.
Then
I
you do
agree.
2 parts. There are ways around this.
That's the
I
studio,
digress.
not Shyamalan.
I digress.
Hey, well, that's what they were going to do. But no, just real quick before you actually give your answer. No, I don't understand why Glass is bad. Only for the sole fact of being like, everybody wanted to end with them having a big fucking superhero and supervillain showdown, being like, that was too fucking predictable for that. And you wanted the predictable, generic, general audience way? Fuck you. It was excellent. And the fact I saw that poll not that long ago really pissed me off, being like, what do you mean it was disappointing? I loved it.
It took me like about 2 or 3 viewings to really come around to how much I love Glass, but because it is M. Night's most awkward movie in years, but it's also his most passionate and interesting. So it really depends on the perspective of the viewer, I think, for that one.
All
Right.
27 characters making an
But
appearance.
I wanted just to say that. Go ahead, Neil. What's your actual...
Well, once again, from the Benedict Cumberbatch con reveal, I had this thought. I have had a friend. His name is Skylar Schaefer. He's in my streams if you want to see him. My entire life, Skylar Schaefer has been obsessed with one comic book character specifically. And when I went to see a certain movie, we found out that comic book character might make an appearance. We both went in pretty excited, him more than me, but I was very excited too because a character I liked was going to be in that movie. That character was Gambit. His character was Deadpool. What happened to Gambit and Deadpool and X-Men Origins Wolverine? X-Men Origins Wolverine, what the fuck did you do? You know how I just said, how do you make Avatar bad? How do you make Deadpool and Gambit bad? Why would you take away the Merc with a mouse mouth?
Because they had to make
It's
a
so
PG-13.
Okay, it's
also
PG-13. But listen,
It's so bad.
I know it's the studio. I know there's reasons behind it, but none of them are good reasons. You don't take away Deadpool's mouth. And I get it. Okay, he doesn't have to swear. I would take that over not talking.
Over Barakapool.
And
Hey,
even
he did make a joke. He was like, okay, people are dead. There's one joke throughout the whole movie.
I know it's one joke and it's kind of funny, but even if they didn't do the mouth thing, they gave him every mutant's power. There's a guy in the comics, I don't remember his name, but there's a guy in the comics where his whole power is he has all mutant powers.
Oh, yeah, and then
Go
they killed
ahead.
him in the first 30 minutes of X-Men First Class.
Yeah.
No, that
Don't-
wasn't him. It was someone else.
Was that not him?
That wasn't Darwin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think guy who hasn't appeared in the movies, his name is Mimic. I think that's who you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
I want to go next. Because this was not what I was expecting with most confusing moments, because I'm going to give mine because this moment just had me completely mind
Ladies and gents, I'm not done yet. There's
Okay.
more to be
Yeah,
said.
say Neil is not done yet, and also too, it's your
Of course,
topic.
Neil's not done
You
yet.
gotta
You gotta
let
go
the
last,
guests-
Cal.
Yeah.
You gotta go
Alright.
last.
And I still haven't
But
said
here's-
all.
Here's the thing, and I'm gonna try to get less angry. Gambit was stupid, and I was
Hey.
upset about Gambit. In that
I-
movie, Gambit was stupid.
I didn't think he was that bad in
He
comparison.
wasn't bad, but when you go
Nope.
back and see his action scenes, he uses his staff to fly. That's not
I mean,
real.
Well, that's the thing. He can use his. He wasn't using it to fly per se,
Okay, I just
and I can't believe I'm defending this movie. I should shut up.
don't. Yeah, just stop. Let me. Okay,
The worst
Gambit-
superhero movies ever.
Gambit was the best part of the movie, and even then, I still contend that it wasn't that good. But
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Deadpool was ruined by this movie. I had a friend who loved this character just by the comics alone, and I had to go to school and talk to this boy the next day, and he was different.
Aw.
The movie changed him.
That's how you know a movie's bad, is when it changes somebody's soul and makes them more depraved.
I just, with all of my heart. The topic was, when were you the most confused during a movie? That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's no sense to it. There's no smart choice there. There's no, oh, we did this to take a creative new take, or, oh, we did this because we thought the fans would like it. No, there's just, we did it because we're dumb. And Ryan Reynolds, though,
Okay.
good job. You made it better. Thank you, Ryan.
Oh no,
Um,
he was like furious with that, and that's why when Fox approached him again, he wanted it to be the way that it was supposed to be, and he actually refused them 5 times until they got the script right, or at least
I
one that
actually
could-
thought he approached them.
It was
That-
kind of a mutual thing where it was in the talks again for a while, because the fact that Origins bombed so bad and the #1 crime was Deadpool. So it's kind of a mutual thing, but Ryan actually refused to work with them until they were willing to do the script that he believed it deserved.
Well, good job, Mr. Reynolds.
And this is
Hey,
what
go
led
ahead.
to the funniest scene in Deadpool 2.
Oh, yeah, that was worth it. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe the whole movie was worth that one scene, but go ahead, Will or Jackson, whoever wants to go next.
Jackson, you want to go or?
You can go ahead. I'm still thinking.
Okay. So I was gonna pick one from a Shyamalan movie because there's so many moments in Shyamalan movies that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. But you know, after Neil started talking about The Last Airbender, the more I started to think, well, everyone kind of picks on Shyamalan, which is not fair because the guy has made a couple good movies.
Shyamalan is one of the best filmmakers working today.
I don't know if I go that far.
Come
but bottom-
outside. Come to the woods, Jackson. Come to the woods. I mean, come to whatever location I am currently at. I'll
Bottom
take your
line,
ass.
he's made some good movies, and yeah, he's also made some terrible ones. But we all know they're terrible ones. Everyone's talked about all his terrible movies. Let's give the guy a break. So there's 2 movie moments that confuse me to this day, and they're both from films that are exactly 40 years apart from each other. One is from a movie that I actually really like, and the other one is from a movie that I really dislike. The first one from a movie that I really like is from the first Christopher Reeve Superman movie, and y'all know already what I'm talking about. Spoilers
Yeah.
for anyone who hasn't seen it. The whole flying around the earth thing. Again, love this movie, but I'm sorry. If, like, putting aside all of the, like, real world scientific problems that spinning the earth in reverse would cause, like, putting all that aside, that just takes away so much tension from the movie, because why are we, like, if Superman can just turn back time without any consequences and stop all these bad things from happening, why doesn't he
Very
do that
low
for
effort.
everything? Like, he could have killed Hitler before World War II. He could have stopped the first slave ship. He could have done all these different things, and like
Support William Wilberforce.
yeah, and like people talk about Superman being OP, which I disagree with, like post 1986 when it comes to Superman. But when you look at scenes like that, it's pretty easy to see why Superman gets that rep, because it's like if he can do stuff like that, why are we supposed to feel any tension for this guy? He is literally the most perfect man who could ever do anything. So yeah.
Can I make an extension on your answer? Could I just say Superman's confusing in those movies? Because hear me out. Okay, you just, as a comic reader, I was very confused during these movies. First of all, the one that really confused me, just out of nowhere, there's a scene where he takes the Superman logo, the S on his chest, pulls it off and throws it at a guy.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forget if that was Superman 2 or 3.
What is that? What is that? Also, he has a memory erasing kiss.
I forgot.
What is that? Yeah. I'm just saying, Robot Chicken did a parody where they said exactly what I'm saying. He should have kissed Lex Luthor. The movie would have been over right then. I'm just Superman. Okay, I don't want to go on a tangent because we're supposed to make this episode fast.
I just remembered it was Superman 2.
I just want to get through this.
Yeah.
What are you? And then he splits into two people in one of the movies, and he's just confusing. He can throw giantesses. He can erase your memories with a kiss. He can go back in time by flying, and he can fight himself. And also, a theoretical fourth power I have, another power I think he has that they don't draw attention to. You notice how in that one movie where he takes all the missiles and nuclear weapons away from the world, nobody fights back? I'm just saying, I think he may have a superpower of just people always think he's right.
Yeah.
Because that should have killed tons of war.
Not to mention the part of that movie where he literally rebuilds the Great Wall of China just by staring at it.
And he fails.
Exactly! Superman is confusing.
Talk about
And he
Superman 4.
gets
We
down
don't
by
talk
being
about
smashed.
Superman 4.
Mel. It's okay if we're making fun of it. It's okay if we're making fun of it. It's okay if we're making fun of it. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
You keep going. Neil interrupted you.
Yeah, well, go ahead. What's your other one?
Okay, the other one actually sort of ties back into something we were talking about last week. I know you said you actually liked this movie last week, Neil, so please don't hate on me. But
I definitely will.
the last Fantastic Beasts movie.
Oh,
I'm not going to defend this a whole bunch. I liked it, but I understand why people hate it.
yeah, that's terrible.
This scene towards the very end, they have this huge exposition dump, and never at any point in my life have I ever questioned my sanity. Just wow. Like where just so many wow. Should I just go full on spoilers here?
Spoilers for Fantastic Beasts. However, I know what you're about to say. This might not be true, but go on. So you're a potential spoiler.
Okay.
What confused you?
So we have, and I'm just gonna pull up Wikipedia right now because there's just so much that is dumped onto the audience right now that I might actually, and I've only seen this movie once, so there might be stuff I'm forgetting. So I'm just gonna pull up the movie on Wikipedia just to make sure I'm not forgetting anything, because it is a lot. It is so many.
I think I know what it is if you want me to say it.
Okay. No. All right. So there's this character named Leta Lestrange, which, if you know Harry Potter, you automatically think, okay, Bellatrix Lestrange. But throughout the movie, you see she's actually a pretty nice person. So it's like, okay, but the Lestrange family is supposed to be like this family of, like, you know, these horrible wizards. But it turns out she's not really a Lestrange. A man named Lestrange kind of raped her mother and gave birth to her, or maybe she didn't. Hold on, looking at the plot right now. Hogwarts. Okay. Okay.
And then
Matt-
had a child.
Yeah, had a child. Search for information.
Something about getting that
Professional.
child.
We're professional.
Okay. All right, but and in addition, they gave birth to this other baby, and oh my god, it's so they go on a ship to America, Lita and her little baby brother,
Who is the product of said magical sodomy.
Rape.
Well, not sodomy. I'm getting
Rape.
my words mixed up.
Rape.
Yeah, magic rape.
Magic.
Magic.
But of course, so I forgot why, but Lita and her little brother, her little baby brother, go to America on a ship, but that ship turns out to be, I think it was that ship turned out to be the Titanic. So the Titanic kind of sunk, and then there wasn't enough space on the lifeboat, so she drowned her little baby brother, but it wasn't her really baby brother, it was another baby, but maybe it was, I don't know. Credence is a Dumbledore now, whoever. Again, just
Ladies
thinking
and gents who are watching, I know you're confused, but fun fact, this is how the movie says it too.
and
I'm just getting a headache just by hearing.
exactly.
I'm not sure I've ever left a theater more angry than after Fantastic Beasts 2.
I
Listen,
know.
okay. Here's my big defense.
Now you're gonna make this difficult for Eli to get me back to the Harry Potter franchise.
Everything is a
told him?
Fantastic Beasts.
Everybody, who told him he was a Dumbledore? Who told him that knowledge? It was Grindelwald, the main villain. Guys, he's totally fucking lying. He's
Okay,
gotta
is
be
that-
lying.
But what about the rest of that exposition dump about Lita and stuff and
But the rest of the movie!
inside?
Well, you can try to make sense of that if you want, but there ain't any there.
Exactly.
You can
Look,
all
when I
get
saw the movie,
exposition dump.
okay,
I'm confused as to why the officials didn't just stop standing there and catch Grindelwald.
oh yeah. Well, somebody tried, and then they killed. Here's the thing. I've always said this. Grindelwald's whole plan was to go like a wizard into attacking a wizard cop, and then get that wizard cop to kill that other wizard. That way, they could start a rebellion. What if the wizard cop wouldn't have said Avada Kedavra? What if he would have casted Bat Bogey Hex and turned her into a bat?
I mean, how Nagini was apparently a human woman, and then she.
I think
got
you should
turned-
just pick Fantastic Beasts as the most confused, because you remember that one scene where he's smoking weed out of a skull and he blows a tank into the air?
Yep.
I shouldn't be able to say that sentence, but I did.
Welcome to Reactaholics.
Not welcome to Reactaholics. That happens in the movie.
Welcome to J.K. Rowling should take a break from writing the podcast.
I think she should definitely step back a little.
Yes.
All right, Jackson, do you have a pick? And once
I
again, I
have-
want to give a brief reminder, even though, let's just do one answers from this point on, because we are kind of in a hurry.
All right,
Go ahead.
I'll give mine because it's a really quick one. So I first saw The Shining about 2 or 3 years ago in a theater, and I was with it. I thought I fully grasped it. I had ideas. I had thoughts and theories, right? I thought I got it. Up until the last shot, where I've never been more confused for a solid 30 seconds of my life.
Oh, yes.
You mean
The infamous last shot.
You mean the part that
Okay, but here's the thing. I think the whole thing is you're supposed to be kind of what?
You're absolutely supposed to be. I was still confused.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's a good confusion?
It's a good confusion, this one.
Yeah.
My whole thing was I always viewed it as he's part of the hotel now. As if he had
Exactly.
always been there, he's part of the hotel.
That was
Yeah.
kind of the
Since
premise. But let
you
Jack,
brought up Shining,
let him finish.
I know he
Nice.
was finished.
That's all I have to say. I was
Yeah, that's my point. He was
confused
finished.
for 30 seconds.
Well, here's the thing. Before Callum goes, I just want to say something else in Shining. There's one scene that has always confused the shit out of me in Shining, and it's not that ending scene. I was always like, oh, he's part of the freaking hotel.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that one scene where there's a guy in a bear suit, like, going down on another guy?
That was my second choice.
What is that?
Nicholas
It's just
Cage.
out of nowhere. It's only there for like a minute. What's going on?
Kubrick accidentally put a file from his personal computer files.
Oh, of course.
That's
Oh,
my theory.
Nicholas Cage.
Actually read the book. So here's the thing. I actually know what that was supposed to be. And some fans have argued that it was Kubrick being Kubrick, even though Stephen King, he has confirmed that if he didn't like a movie, he's not like a complete dick about it. He's just like, well, I can say I had no part in this. It's just my book, but he was only pissed off at the fact of how they represented Jack. So actually that is a scene in the book.
Mhm.
And it explains it better. It's supposed to be because this the hotel is like this terrible, entity. Is that it's supposed to bring up the most fucked up things that you could possibly see. It's much more explained in the book what
But
that scene is going on, but it's
A
not meant
teddy
to
bear
be like,
blowing a guy is the most fucked up thing I could see. I mean, I'm not saying that isn't the most fucked up thing I could see, but
you got to see it from the kid's point of view. You get through your own.
I feel like if the teddy bear were licking a dead body covered in blood, that would be worse than giving a dude a blowy. Both are bad.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
but
which leads to me. So,
yep.
Which leads to you, Callum.
yeah. So, the reason I want to get this out of my chest. So, have you ever heard of the successful anime film Your Name?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard of it.
Love that
Never
movie.
seen it. I have heard of it.
It's a great movie.
Right. So
You've told me about it a lot. You're really trying to sell me on it.
Yeah. So not my personal favorite, but I can see why a lot of people like it. I'll give the premise before I explain what about that confused me. That way you can all make sense of it. So basically, the premise of this film is that there's this boy, a high school boy in this suburban, this Tokyo city, and then far away in Japan, there's this girl living out in the countryside. There's this shooting star, and due to this shooting star, there's some kind of mystic supernatural power, and the two of them are apparently destined to be together.
Wait,
and they keep
Callum,
swapping bodies.
Let me see if I get this straight.
Neil,
So
shush,
what you're
shush,
saying
shush, shush.
is that there's a small town girl living in a lonely world,
Leave the call.
and a city boy.
Fourth phrase is South
continue.
Tokyo.
What was you?
Okay, good joke. Yeah, good joke. Okay, so
You're welcome. I got touched.
yeah. So basically, those two keep swapping bodies. Like, they keep swapping bodies. She's in his body, he's in her body. They keep swapping around. They keep giving each other notes just to keep up with what's happening. They get to know each other's friends, what each other's lifestyle is. And here's the bit that's going to lead to the bit that confused me. So, in the girl's home, there's a place that's essential for the plot. So, in the film, we see her ritualistically making this alcohol, which they then put in the shrine for this village entity. So, essentially, there's this one scene where the boy in the girl's body goes off. The boy's with the girl's granny and the girl's younger sister. They go up to the shrine to place the alcohol down. It's nice and slow paced. Granny's explaining how it's all working. She in her body places the alcohol down in the shrine. It plays an essential part later on. They stand there, nice and happy, and then all of a sudden, the granny goes, "By the way, you're dreaming." Boy wakes up in his body. I'm like, what? What?
Wait,
What?
wait, the whole movie was a dream?
No,
This is
just that scene.
Just that scene. Like, what? And what makes it more confusing is that this is an essential part of the film, and this actually happened. The alcohol is still there for the rest of the movie. So why is it a dream? What? Why did the granny randomly tell the boy why was he dreaming? How did the granny know it's a dream? What?
It was probably just his brain trying to wrap around the idea of being in these different bodies by turning a memory into a dream.
Maybe.
Either way, it's confusing.
But anyway, but I think since we don't have a lot of time, my topic should be pretty short, and then I think we can do wrap-ups.
Okay.
So, since it's the Halloween
I still
season,
didn't get any
and,
answers.
and
Wait, hold on. I think we do have to talk about Callum's thing. I know you're
well,
excited, Mel. I know you're excited.
Well, I'm just trying to also to be mindful of the time, but I haven't seen the movie. If you want my opinion, so I can't really give any way, but I do want to see it.
It's great.
I haven't seen it either, but Jackson has. So
It's
Jackson,
fantastic.
what do you think about that scene?
Well, like I said, I think it's probably just the boy's brain trying to reconcile with the fact that he's currently switching bodies through with this weird magic thing that he doesn't understand. By taking a memory that he experienced, or maybe the girl experienced in her own body, and making that memory into a dream, so it just makes sense for the brain to comprehend and process.
Okay, we'll talk about
There you
this
go,
later.
Callum.
Go on, Mel.
There's your answer.
Okay, fine. Go on, Mel.
Okay, so since we've been having a one spooky topic since it is the month of Halloween, this one's really simple, but it's going to be mostly catering towards horror since we haven't really touched on a lot of horror. We've only touched about, Halloween, and horror is really the icon genre. What horror movie that's come out in the past 2 years that you notice everybody loves, but either you don't love or you don't understand why people love it?
I know exactly why you picked this topic.
Okay, I'm just gonna say right now the only because
Everybody go quick. Let's quick fire this.
okay, I feel like I should just get this out of the way.
And maybe we can do another topic after.
Niels, you're being really
Sorry. I'm just giving ideas.
Will.
I was pretty skittish as a child. I was like the most paranoid little kid imaginable. So there are and while I have been huge into horror for quite a few years now, to a certain extent, I'm still trying to play catch up. So most of the horror movies I've seen are from old horror movies. So I haven't really the only horror movie I've really seen that's come out in the past 2 years is Get Out, which I love just as much as everyone else does. Okay, maybe it's just slightly overrated, but other than that, I still really like that film. So I can't really speak on this topic.
Okay. Well, then for you, I'll make it quick. Neil, you've been interrupting like mad
Sorry.
today. I'm putting my foot down. If you don't have anything in the past 2 years, you can pick an alternative of ones you at least know people love, but you don't get or you don't like.
Okay. The Friday the 13th franchise, I get it. I get it. We don't really look at those as actual films. We like it more for the guilty pleasure, but I'm sorry, it still just confused me so much because there's never really been a legitimately good Friday the 13th movie.
You.
He's right.
Legitimately good. Legitimately good. Objectively, a couple of them are great, but subjectively, no. And yet, for whatever reason, Jason Voorhees is still the icon of horror, above Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger. And that's another thing. Maybe because in terms of horror, I've always been more of a fan of the classic monsters, Dracula, the Wolfman, Frankenstein. But I mean, for me, slashers are kind of just a little overrated for me, even though I do love quite a few slasher movies like Psycho, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Black Christmas.
Okay. All right. Who's next? So do you
I-
think? Oh,
Who wants to go next?
I've got one.
Go ahead, Jackson.
Nightmare on Elm Street isn't great.
Which one have you seen?
The first one.
Oh. Have you at least seen the
What?
third
Wait.
one?
Okay,
Or-
well, yeah.
No,
the
'cause
third one.
I didn't love the first one, so I didn't feel like watching any of the others. I thought it was funnier than anything. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine, but I don't get the wide appeal. I thought it was just like an average slasher flick with a dream catch that kind of made it interesting, but it didn't go too much with it.
Okay, my suggestion: watch Nightmare 3 and New Nightmare. Those might change your mind a little
But-
bit.
Yeah.
I'm curious about New Nightmare, but
Yeah.
that first one I know everyone seems to just adore, and I don't see it. I thought it was fine.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, is actually really good,
Hmm.
but all of the rest are kind of cringe,
Okay,
in my view.
I
The first
I will
one's a little
defend
weird, too.
some. Okay, I will defend some real quick. So the second one, I completely agree. That one, in my opinion, is the second worst if it wasn't for the remake. If it wasn't for the remake, it would have still been number one. But it's because out of all of them, it doesn't tie in at all.
You
to
like
any-
Freddy's Dead better than the second one?
I would rather watch Freddy's Dead again than watch the second fucking one.
You're a trooper.
Wow.
Right? But like, yeah, I have to agree with them. Watch A New Nightmare, which I think was the last one before the remake, right? Watch
Yes.
that one
That'll
and watch
Freddy
the
versus
first one.
Jason. Technically.
Oh, that one's just garbage. The only thing good about that was the soundtrack, but that's just
I
Freddy
will
versus
die
Jason is
arguing with
terrible,
you.
but I love that
I
movie.
love it!
it
That's a so bad it's good for me. I love that
no,
movie.
it's just so bad it's bad. He didn't even get it.
I wouldn't
anyway,
even call it so bad it's bad. I would say so cool it's cool.
no,
Neil,
I
you're
like-
just wrong.
It's cool. It's cool.
You're
It's
wrong.
so cool.
Will was-
fight,
Will already went.
fight.
So Callum,
Well, I'm not much of a horror movie person, but I will have to say The Nun. Cheap jump scares. Carry on.
Oh yeah.
cool. We
Okay,
need
that's a good answer, I guess.
to talk.
I got one. Hello?
Right.
I'm here.
We're here.
I got one.
Let's-
Well, I didn't get any approval. I was like, I got one, expecting someone to go.
Neil,
Go ahead, Neil.
I
Oh, I
said
think
go
your
ahead.
mic. I think your mic might have gone out then because I didn't hear you.
Well, go ahead, Neil.
Thank you.
Oh.
So I might piss people off with this because mine is in the last 2 years.
Okay.
So, ladies and gents,
Make this quick.
much like Nightmare on Elm Street, this had a really good premise, and I feel like towards the second half of the movie, they kind of went off the. Brightburn could have been better. Brightburn
Did
could
people
have been.
love
a lot-
Brightburn?
Apparently,
That-
people were all about it, and they were like, "Yeah, horror Justice League, yeah."
I haven't seen it, so
That's not so much on. That's. Not
I
so much
didn't
on
see it because it has a 57 on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't think people loved that, Neil.
And
I
everything,
have only heard glowing reviews.
Really?
literally everything. Literally everything I've heard about Brightburn, every time I heard someone talk about it, it's always the same thing. It's like the premise was interesting, there were parts I liked, but just overall didn't pan out. That's literally
Yeah,
every-
I don't really hear that many glowing reviews of Brightburn.
I haven't. Online, everyone's saying how cool of an idea it is. Everybody's saying how much they love it, and here I am, like, yeah, but it could have been a lot better if they actually really like dug into this idea
I
made
got
it
one that's
better.
yeah. I honestly got one that's better than yours and
Well, my
Callum's.
final
because I couldn't
thoughts.
get reviews.
My final thoughts is, even if people are viewing it negatively, I have heard overwhelming support for Brightburn and the future of Brightburn. And in the end, I think if it were handled better, I would be on the same page. But all in all, I thought it was kind of weird and kind of cringe at times and just generic horror film.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
don't
don't
understand why
help us
so many people are like, this is such a good change. Every horror movie should be like this. And I have heard that.
Yeah, time and time again. Okay, so Mel, talk about it.
Okay, so I've heard negative reviews about the Nun and Brightburn. So I don't really think that, but if that's your opinion, that's fine. But I think the one that I actually just recently watched this, like not even a week ago, Hereditary.
Absolutely not.
Oh.
That is one of the best horror movies of the past few years.
Let her make her case. Let her make her case.
Let me explain.
Oh,
I thought the effects were creepy, but overall the plot and what I was trying to understand, like the only thing I understood was being like, okay, so the grandma and that one lady were connected somehow. And I guess it was supposed to be a cult ritual witch coven thing. But otherwise it was just like, I did like also too the fact how they handled grief with the mom really well, because that's kind of a realistic way to go about it. It's just like, hey, we, people, and I totally relate to that, where it's like, we don't want to hear the I'm sorries. We don't want to hear that it gets better. It's just, no, this person's dead and there's nothing I can fucking do. And you kind of grasp at straws. Otherwise, I think it's one of those ones I have to probably watch again at least like 2, maybe 3 more times to understand. I just don't see the hype. I was just sitting there being like, I am not understanding what's going on. I am not understanding why it switched this way. I'm not understanding shit. And I'm sorry, even I've seen positive reviews about it, which I kind of was surprised, because it's like, I like complexity, but it has to be like chaotic, like organized chaos. It's just like, there's still chaos, but it needs to make sense. And with this one, it's just like, maybe my mind might change if I watch it again. But until then, it's just like, I don't understand the appeal.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I didn't find it that confusing, so I'm just curious as to, like you said, I'm not exactly sure what you said you found confusing about it. Just something
like the plot, like I don't understand, like, what the plot was trying to do. The only thing I was able to connect was just like, okay, so that lady who, goes up to the mom, you end up finding out she was connected to the grandma in this like weird ritualistic kind of way. But that was pretty much it. Otherwise, just like, I did not understand like what they were trying to go for.
Well, the big thing that you touched on is it's all just an allegory and metaphor for grief.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where every decision, I think, is made in the film in service of that. And the big thing is part of that is how it deals with family. And that's what a lot of what you're referring to is, because that kind of witch coven cult thing, I don't exactly know either. But it's all passed down through this family. Finding this. And for people who haven't seen, finding this vessel.
Also, I have a unique perspective of this movie because I was half paying attention to it because I actually saw it on a date night. But every time I paid attention to it, it was creepy as hell.
Right,
I mean, I was talking and chatting. You know how dates are.
Well, it was
Hereditary scared me more than any other movie.
It was casually scary.
I think it was just like, I did appreciate like some of the visual effects and all that, but it was just like the plot, like what you said was that the family was supposed to be like connected, or this was passed down. They didn't execute it well, where it's like, you don't figure that out till the very end. And it's just like, if you at least like mentioned something like before the daughter died, right? You should have at least had like some, like hint to it. I'm not saying give it away if you want to give the mystery towards it, but at least like have something.
There were hints in the movie.
So
was I just missing them?
If I've listened to everything, everyone, if I have listened to everything that has been said by everybody on this topic, I think we can all agree the Babadook sucks.
Absolutely not.
It does so.
The Babadook is one of the best horror movies ever made.
It's not. No, it's
Good
not.
night, everybody.
No.
Will, where can they find you at?
You can find me on Stardust and Instagram at ImperfectVanity or _ImperfectVanity. It doesn't really fucking matter. Fight me, Jackson.
Will, Darthpotter, where can they find you at?
It was the shittiest movie of all time.
Keep going, Will. Just go through it.
We'll finish this. I thought you were a friend. I thought you were a fan of mine. Oh, you proved me wrong.
You were my brother, Anakin.
I remember your reaction to the Babadook on Stardust a while back. I was like, absolutely not. No.
Go. Will, where can we find you at?
So where
No,
you can
you're
find
just I'm fucking right.
Will, keep going. Keep going.
Let's speak.
So, you can find me at Stardust, on Stardust at Darthpotter7. I also have a movie blog, which I haven't posted on anything on like a year, but there's 2 reviews in there. But if you want to read them, go ahead. Some Dork Reviews Movies at Blogspot. And I do have a YouTube, WGS Productions. Again, don't have anything on there yet, but there is stuff coming down the pipeline. And I'm also on Bumble, so if you're a single woman living in the Tampa Bay area,
Follow the man on Bumble. Callum, where can they find you at? I also agree the Babadook is terrible. Go, Callum, go! Go!
I think we lost Callum.
You can find him at Scott Meyer. He's here on YouTube. He's in the description. You can find him on Stardust at Scotswizard. He's on Instagram at Scotswizard. Babadook was terrible. There was a pointless scene with vibrators.
Hello. I'm back.
I mean, a little bit. You're honestly
Callum, where
scared
can
of
they find you at? Go, Callum, go.
All right. My name is Scotswizard, and I'm probably going to do a blog of my trip to Northern Ireland on my channel, Scotswizard. You can find me on Stardust, where I'm going to review short horror movies on the internet, most likely. And I'm also on Instagram. I'll upload more art.
I mean, Jackson, you really want to be scared of a fucking retarded-looking Muppet that probably has every mental or physical disability ever? Are you serious?
The Babadook is one of the best
Babadook.
interpretations of grief within a family ever created.
Oh, it
And with
was
that,
not.
ladies and gentlemen, I have created chaos. My name is Dr. Knealetapus.
Oh,
You can
hold on.
find me here on this channel, and you can find me on Instagram and Stardust. We're going to talk about this when the camera's off, here
Hold
in
on.
the woods, baby.
I want to mention one more thing. Okay, listen very
What do you
closely.
got? What do you got?
Where there's a whip, there's a whip.
There's a way where there's a whip.
Good night, everybody. Jackson, you and I got a long talk.
Babadook sucks.
It's one of the best horror movies ever made.
No,